In this video, we're going to take a look at kind of the whole idea of complex figures in more detail, except for this particular case, we're going to look at what happens when we have a shape of a polygon, a many-sided object, where it's not just being able to be broken up into simple rectangles or squares. What happens when we start putting multiple shapes together? So in this shape, we have a five-sided figure, a pentagon, but we can break it up so we have one rectangle and a triangle here. So we do this much like we did with the complex figures, where I break it up. I've got the two shapes. I've got the one shape here as a rectangle, and then over here I've got my triangle. So the area of this is given by my base times my height, my length times my width, my 5 times 6, which would give me an area of 30 units being squared. Okay. And then in my triangle here, I need to remember the height is going to be 5 transferred from over here. Okay, it's going to be the same height over here. So it's going to be the 5 times the 2, but then I need to take half of that divided by 2 because it's an area of a triangle. So I end up with 10 divided by 2, so the area of my triangle will be 5 units squared. So if this is going to be 5 units squared, to get the total area of the pink shape, I would need to add these two numbers to give me a final answer of 35 units squared. Sometimes what we're able to do is we're given two figures, and we're actually, instead of decomposing what we did in the last slide, breaking it into smaller parts, we're able to compose figures. Okay? And what this has to do with is our ability to put two pictures together. So I'm able to take this figure here, slide it over, and it matches right with this figure. So taking the two figures apart, instead of breaking each of them into multiple parts, I'm able to slide these parts together, make one big rectangle where my height is 4, my length is 5. It's a rectangle, so the area is given by 4 times 5, and I get an answer of 20 units squared. Okay. Where this also might come in handy is, instead of breaking a figure into smaller parts, sometimes it's easier to think about what is not included. In the case, it's going to be this little blue shape. But if I take the whole big figure, I have one rectangle. The area is going to be 8 times 7, so it's going to be 56 units squared. And then if I take this small rectangle, which is a 2 by 3 rectangle, so my area is given by 2 times 3, which is going to be 6 units squared, I can take the whole idea that it's the large triangle, 56 units squared, minus the 6 units squared, giving me a figure of this black shape of 50 units squared. So sometimes it's a little bit easier, because otherwise I would have had to break this up into figure here, figure here. I would have had to break it up into 3 rectangles, which I could do with 1 or 2 extra measurements. But it's a lot easier sometimes to think of it as one rectangle subtracted by another rectangle. Okay, hopefully this has been helpful to you.